Welcome to our Sunday School lesson. I'm Jennifer, and I offer my warmest greetings to each of you at whatever place you happen to be in your different homes located in various places while I talk to you from here in my home office. It's great that you've decided to join me for this special time that we set aside for learning and enjoying the Bible. By meeting through this YouTube channel, we keep ourselves linked together as friends and as part of the St. Mark's community. Today is online lesson number 67. Genesis chapter 1, verses 9 to 13 from the New International Reader's Version. God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered into one place. Let dry ground appear." And that's exactly what happened. God called the dry ground land. God called the waters that were gathered together oceans. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the land produce plants. Let them bear their own seeds, and let there be trees on the land that bear fruit with seeds in it. Let each kind of plant or tree have its own kind of seeds." And that's exactly what happened. The land produced plants. Each kind of plant had its own seeds. The land produced trees that bore fruit with seeds in it. Each kind of tree had its own kind of seeds. God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning. It was day 3. I'm really excited to finally be able to share with you the next chapter in the ancient date palm story, as I'd promised. If you've been following along, you know that the first chapter was absolutely awesome. Let's briefly review what I've already told you. In Israel, a date palm tree has been nicknamed Methuselah in honor of the oldest person mentioned in the Bible. The amazing part is that this tree grew from a 2,000-year-old seed. The seed had been found by archaeologists at a place in Israel called Masada. The date seeds were stored away in a drawer for a few years until a researcher into medicine from plants and a desert botanist made a plan. They had the idea to plant some of these ancient seeds. This was in the year 2005. What a miracle! One of the old seeds actually grew. And in this picture on your screen, you can see Methuselah and what Methuselah looked like when he was 3 years old. Now this picture from 2018, he was 13 years old. That was 3 years ago, so Methuselah is now 16. In this aerial view of Masada, you can see the ruins of the buildings, including the storerooms built by King Herod. Here at the end of this yellow arrow, it was in one of these storerooms where the ancient seeds were found. This shows some of the 29 storerooms excavated by the archaeologists. And these are pictures of the actual seeds that were found there. 2,000-year-old seeds. When telling you the story, I had mentioned the fact that the seeds were planted on the Jewish New Year of trees. I'd also suggested that they might have said a prayer before planting the seeds. I've since studied more about this tree festival, and I've learned that praying is indeed part of the tradition. Tu B'Shvat is a festival held on the 15th day of Shavat on the Jewish calendar. Some pronounce it with more emphasis on when it happens by saying Tu B'Shvat. In 2021, earlier this year, the New Year of Trees went from the evening of January 26th until sundown on January 27th. That's the time of year when in Israel's climate, the earliest blooming trees emerge from their winter sleep and prepare to make new fruit. The lovely spring blossoms on this page are cherry, apple, peach, pear, olive, and fig. It's a tradition to plant trees on this festival. Also on Tu B'Shvat, it's customary to eat many kinds of fruit, particularly if the fruit is mentioned in the Bible. May it be your will, O God, that all earth's trees be filled with beautiful buds and blossoms. May they be renewed each year to grow and to give the fruits of sweetness and goodness. May we all take good care of your world so we can share and enjoy the fruit of your earth. Amen. Artza Elenu is often sung on this festival. Let's listen to the tune. The words go something like this. We have gone up to the land. It could also be translated as we ascended to our land, a gift from God, or even we entered the promised land. The black dots I have signify that the words are repeated several times. This song was a favorite of the Israeli pioneers who returned to live in Israel during the 20th century. As they planted crops and brought the land back to cultivation, they sang and danced in the hope that the land of Israel would be rebuilt. There's more words of the song. We've already plowed and sown too, but we have not yet harvested. The song expresses faith in what God has provided and also hope for the future. It seems to me that Tu B'Shvat is a combination of Earth Day and Thanksgiving. This beautiful painting might be shown on the holiday of Tu B'Shvat. It's a painting that includes the 7 types of fruits from God's good earth as promised and described in Deuteronomy. A land of wheat and barley, grapevines, figs, and pomegranates. A land of olive oil and dates. And it illustrates each of them, starting at the bottom and moving to the right around the circle with the red pomegranates at the center, and ending on the left with olives and dates. Look at this wonderful platter of fruit, specially prepared to celebrate Tu B'Shvat. It's colorful. It's made with fruits that grow on trees. It's arranged in the shape of a tree. I see apples, some with red skins, others with yellow or green skins. There are oranges, peaches, plums, pears, kiwi, figs, cherries with stems still attached, and the white fruits are lychee. The Hebrew blessing to say before eating tree-grown fruit is as follows. It means, "Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who creates the fruit of the tree." Many people also have the tradition of eating at least one fruit which has not yet been eaten in that season. Then they would say this blessing. "Blessed are you, Lord, our God, King of the universe, who has granted us life, sustained us, and enabled us to reach this occasion." In order to tell you the rest of the story about Methuselah, the date tree, as opposed to Noah's grandfather, here's a map I've shown before. Israel is on the left, on the west side of the Dead Sea. The country of Jordan is on the east side. The arrows point to familiar places, the blue to Jerusalem, the red to Bethlehem, the green to the Jordan River. This purple arrow shows the location of Masada near the southern end of the Dead Sea. The seed from which Methuselah grew was found there. Methuselah has been growing outdoors at the Arava Institute for Environmental Studies. This map, you can see the Arava Institute is marked in with a red marker. The aqua-colored arrow points to where the Dead Sea is, further north, and further south the orange arrow points to the Red Sea, above which is the Gulf of Aqaba and the border with Egypt. The next part of our story will involve a place called Qumran. This yellow arrow points to where it is, near the Dead Sea, like Masada, but as you can see, Qumran is at the northern side. This photo shows the two scientists responsible for Methuselah the tree. This was on the day that they took the tree from the pot and planted it directly into the ground. Dr. Sarah Salin is standing on the left. She's a medical doctor who researches medicines derived from plants. And Dr. Elaine Solway is on the right. She has a PhD in botany, being an expert in desert agriculture and land reclamation. The scientists at the Arava Institute had to wait for several years before they knew if Methuselah was male or female. This would be true for anyone who grows dates because, unlike most fruit trees, date palms are dioecious. That's a Greek word for two households. This means that every date tree is either male or female. Each tree makes either pollen or fertile flowers. In our recent storybook about flowers, we'd learned that this happens in certain species of plants. This is what the male flowers look like. The flowers develop on separate trees, as I've said, but both the male and female flowers are formed inside a leaf-like covering called a spathe. The spathe is like a sheath, that encases the flowers while they are developing. Now let's look at some female flowers. These have emerged from their spathe. Behind the center branch in the photo, there's another brown spathe that has not yet burst open. Eventually, Methuselah matured enough to produce flowers. They were male flowers, which produce only the pollen needed for reproduction. Male flowers do not produce fruit. So Methuselah by himself couldn't recreate those ancient tasty dates that everyone had raved about in old historic documents. Methuselah was the only Judean date palm alive and living in Israel. Would he always be alone? The team of scientists knew that they were fortunate to have germinated one ancient Judean date palm tree by obtaining those seeds from Masada. They wanted to find out if the germination of an ancient date pit was a fluke, or if other old seeds could also be awakened. And could other ancient date seeds exist that would be a viable match for Methuselah? To make a long story short, we go back to the Dead Sea. We know about the ruins at Masada, but other places in Israel are also interesting to archaeologists. Here's Qumran at the top. The arrow points to Masada at the lower part of the map and Qumran at the north or top. Here's what Qumran looks like. Those dark places high up on the rock face are openings to caves. At the front of this picture is the opening to cave number 4, where many remarkable discoveries have been found and explored. The Dead Sea Scrolls are ancient Hebrew scrolls and scroll fragments that had spent nearly 2,000 years hidden away inside pottery urns and placed inside remote caves. Here's one of the scrolls with the words to some of the Psalms. As I said, there were also fragments in the caves, but it was nice when they found actual larger pieces like that scroll. Other places of interest to archaeologists are ruins and caves near a place called Wadi Makuk. This is located a short distance from the old city of Jericho. And this is a picture of the wadi and the ruins and the area near the wadi. Well, an archaeologist at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem allowed Dr. Solon to sift through dusty boxes full of plant materials that had been recovered at some of Israel's most famous archaeological sites. She found plenty of seeds for her purpose. She chose 32 of the best preserved seeds, and then her collaborator, Dr. Solway, planted them. The seeds were not named until they had germinated and seemed to be growing well. Now it's time for you to meet Adam from Masada, the same location as Methuselah originated. Here are Jonah, Uriel, and Boaz, who each come from the same hometown, known as Qumran Cave number 37. It's an honor for me to introduce Judith, who hails from Qumran Cave number 13. Finally, meet Hannah, who was discovered in a cave near the Wadi Makuk. The team from the Arava Institute have 6 new date palm plants. 4 are male and 2 are female. Now let's take a look at the trees that have grown from the seeds you just met. In the top row, there's Adam, Jonah, and Uriel. In the bottom row, we can see Boaz, Judith, and Hannah. The pictures of the seeds and the young trees in pots were published in Science Advances magazine in February 2020, early last year. Smithsonian magazine published an article about them in the same month, where it says, seeds of the Judean palm have survived for millennia, possibly due to the unique environmental conditions of the area around the Dead Sea, which is situated 1,388 feet below sea level. That's 423 meters. Precipitation and humidity there are very low, and the region boasts the thickest atmosphere on Earth, which might protect ancient relics, according to the researchers. Smithsonian magazine also stated, quote, because Judith and Hannah have not yet reached sexual maturity, the researchers haven't been able to produce any ancient Judean dates. Well, that was the news in February of 2020. But let me tell you, there was good news published in 2020 on September 21st. In the words of Abigail Klein-Leichman, who wrote the article from which this picture is taken, Mazel Tov to Hannah and Methuselah on their 111 miracle babies. The proud parents are date palms grown from ancient seeds uncovered in archaeological excavations in Israel. Wow. Well, here's a family photo in front of the new mother, Hannah. Below, the picture reads as follows. Desert horticulturist Elaine Solway left, and Dr. Sarah Salin with Hannah, her dates protected by a mesh bag. Well, I had seen protection similar to this on other date palm trees, such as this method used in Arizona, where they commonly use cotton muslin to wrap around the fruit as it ripens to protect it from insects and animals and such, birds, anything that would be coming along and taking a nibble. So there they are in front of the new babies that are still on the tree. Do you think these scientists are like grandmothers to the baby dates? In this picture, we can see the dates have been picked and placed on a plate. The caption reads, dates harvested from Hannah, pollinated by Methuselah at the Arava Institute. If you look closely at the bottom of the tree, you can see the flower cluster where the dates had been attached to the tree. A couple of months ago, on August 23rd of this year, the Arava Institute announced that staff during the year had harvested three bunches of dates from their world-famous ancient date palms. This is the second year of harvesting fruit from this previously extinct tree, brought back to life by Dr. Elaine Solway and Dr. Sarah Salin. They also stated that this year's harvest from Hannah totaled a production of 700 dates. As I just said, there were 111 during last year's first harvest pollinated by Methuselah. This year they were pollinated by Methuselah and two other ancient date palms named Adam and Jonah. The date's flavor is similar to medjool dates, semi-dry with honey overtones. God bless.